Alright, hello and welcome to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Feels nice to finally have some time to be getting back into this adventure after having to take a few days off, but... Oh, but rest assured I have also been uploading to my, okay, we talked to everyone here, get both sides of the story. Alright, we talked to both of them here. I've been uploading a lot of my older VODs to the YouTube channel, and I have actually finally gotten past my ones from 2020, so I can finally start getting to the ones in 2021. I'll probably start slowing down a bit soon, so that I don't run out of stuff to post, but I still got a long ways to go. Picture postcard, gentlemen. Excuse me, but who are you exactly? I'm expecting Inquirer to introduce himself first. Though clearly you are not British, so perhaps our ways are foreign. Oh, I'm sorry, yes, we're from the Empire of Japan. We are studying here. Oh, yes, Japan. I've heard talk of the place. Inhabitants live on fiery brown-colored soup, dressed up exotic... wait, what? You might be thinking of somewhere else. And what was that theatrical... pose about? Perhaps anywhere for a gentleman, sir. You will offer your own name first, requiring after the name of it. Of course, yes, I am Ryanosuke Naruhodo. I'm a lawyer. Well, a student of law, really. I am Susato Mikatama. I am Mr. Naruhodo's assistant. I see. My name is Benedict. Yes, Eggert Benedict. Named after Eggs Benedict, of course. And he's so refined in how he holds himself and how he speaks, but the name is, suspicious. Now, it's the matter at hand. My overcoat. Return it at once to someone with the style to carry it off. Grr. Every move he makes, every breath he takes. I can't stand watching him. Alright, so it does require that I speak with, Miss Lestrade first. The gentleman's accusation. Now, Miss Lestrade, is that what the gentleman's saying? What do you think? It's all lies, ain't it? Obviously. I swear on me life. I ain't never laid eyes on that dandy before. Well, let's hear it now, you little ragamuffin. You stole it, didn't you? That ticket you brought in here just now. No, I swear it. I swear to God. Just barely an hour ago, I was walking along the street, minding my own business, when this little gutterling ran into me. I knew exactly at once what had happened. I've been robbed yet again, I thought to myself. Those wretched pitchpockets. Yet again? Oh yes, as you can see, I am a man of impeccable style. And this isn't the first time I've been targeted by these, scoundrels. True, because of how much he holds himself in high regard, it does mean he can command respect in a room, but this also means he's a clear target, since he obviously has the money. Now then, relinquish my overcoat. Grrr. It looks like it's a different color from his current outfit. Come along now, Mr. Strahd. Give the good gentleman his coat back. If you're going to cause trouble, I shall have no choice but to call the police. Oh, hold on. Why? It's me. Just look at this dandy coat. Do you think I'm the dodgy one? I'm sorry, but no one's going to believe you. Well, in that case, we have to bring out evidence, don't we? Well, what about evidence? Yeah. Where's your evidence? I've stolen something. Come on, let's see it. Oh, I have evidence, naturally. You what? You what, mate? Evidence that the article Mr. Strahd redeemed actually belongs to this gentleman. Of course, we need only consult Mr. Windybank's ledger to know the truth. We'll be able to look up the name of the person who deposited the article in the first place. Yes, brilliant. I'm very sorry, but I'm afraid that won't be possible. Wait, what? I never ask customers' names. That's a strict policy of mine. So, in other words, you know for a fact there's some sort of back alley deals going on here, and you're you're trying to avoid confrontational stuff in order to keep their business. Why would you not do that? Yeah. Well, as you can imagine, some of my customers have circumstances to consider. A great many of them prefer to maintain their anonymity. I see. But then, how do you know if an article belongs to the person asking you to redeem it? Oh, it's quite simple. Now, good sir, Might I trouble you for the watchword with the article in question? A watchword? Of course. It's Professor. Yes, that's right, and all the evidence we need. The gentleman's the rightful owner of the article, without a doubt. A watchword. Interesting. In that case, shouldn't you have asked her first, just to make sure if she knew it or not? About these watchwords, Mr. Windybank. As I just explained, I never ask customers' names in the deposit items. There are many reasons why. Certain customers would like to keep their activities secret. Oh, Sherlock. That wasn't exactly a subtle glance at Mr. Sholmes right now, was it? Great detectives have no dark secrets, none at all. No, but... Yes, well anyway, that's why I always ask for a watchword whenever I accept an article. Well, I guess it's not just that, it could just be his name is so famous that someone might try to get one of his things. In many ways, it's like the secret combination of numbers used to unlock a vault. The date of the deposit, a description, a watchword that uniquely identifies each item. Of course, I give the storage ticket to the customer. When someone has to redeem something, I ask for the ticket and the watchword. And if that someone tells you the correct watchword, you return the article. That's right, yes. Just as soon as the requisite fee is paid. And I have supplied you with the information you require already. But for the avoidance of doubt, the article in question is an overcoat deposited 2 months ago on the 15th of February. That was along the... Interesting, that was along the time of our other case, with the watchword of Professor. All perfectly correct information, sir. But ow! Really, this is beyond a joke now. There's no further room for doubt. Something extra that he's not telling us. Also, she must also know the watchword, because remember, the dude who gave her the overcoat, which means she had to have had the watchword and the ticket. Because we now know she couldn't have just redeemed the ticket. She also needed to know that word. Alright, let that be an end of the matter. And thank you for your custom, Mr. Egbert Benedict. Honestly, that coat completely clashes with your outfit right now. Such reasonable rates of interest, I may even decide to come back. This is why I hate grown-ups. Just I'm a diver, everyone thinks that makes me a liar. Yeah, there's definitely a lot more here than what's going on, but without evidence, we can't do anything. And the contents of the coat pockets, if you please, broker. But of course, sir, here's the disc for you. Just this one? Pardon, sir? I was expecting another. That is, I deposited another. Oh, no dear. I regret to inform you, sir, that what is deposited with me is merely the overcoat. That disc happened to be in one of the pockets, but I was completely unaware of it until now. So, Gutterling, you're hiding more of what's rightfully mine, aren't you? I'm getting the sense he's not telling the truth. He's not telling... This guy's lying through his teeth here. Says who? I know nothing about it. I mean, we could pat her down, but you're not gonna find it. Alright, very well. Then I shall bid you farewell. Say goodbye to style. Wait a minute, that disc is mine. Ah, what do you think you're doing? You've drawn blood. Oh my, yes, there's blood on the disc. It's because of all those sharp little bumps. The man must have scratched his finger on them. I bought it first, right? I mean, belongs to a man. Okay, so what I'm getting is this doesn't belong to either of them. It was deposited by someone else and meant to be dropped off to someone else. And whatever these discs are, they want it. But we don't know what it is because we don't know what kind of music player plays it. That's why it can't be sold to just anyone. To the right person, it's probably worth a fortune, but to just anyone, it's worthless. So you're not having, or you take it, me. If I hang on to it, they'll have it off again, so you keep hold of it. Miss Lestrade, why is this disc so important to her? But I suppose that does follow. I'm a neutral third party who has no connection to either of these things, so as long as they can prove I'm trustworthy, and Herlock Sholmes will probably say it. I mean, he'll be cheeky about it and say, I don't know, probably. But yeah, he'll back it up. You there in the black look. Hand that disc to me at once, please. No, don't, he's lying. Worms are liars. Oh, what do I do now? How am I gonna resolve this? Looks like he has something new to say. Look at Mr. Windbank, watching diligently over his shop. There are still so many things I'm curious about, but somehow I don't feel like this is the right time to be browsing. Calming this frost situation should be our first priority, and I'm fairly certain we can find just the great thing we need among the articles here in the shop. Yeah, I figured we're gonna have to talk to Sholmes and have him help us figure it out. Excuse me, Mr. Sholmes, what are you examining with such keen interest here? As you enjoy a bar of caramel, I see. So, you found me at last. Mr. Naruto, I'm sorry. After the pickpocket sent me on my way, I was forced to lurk in the shadows, cruelly ostracized. The rest of you partook in your jovial atmosphere of fellowship. I had nothing to occupy my mind, was too ashamed to let society see what my downfall had done to me. Wait, what? So feigning mock interest, I proceeded to examine the trinkets in this desolate place, whilst, as you shrewdly observed, gnawing on the only friend I have left, and this 7% solution of caramel. I do claim to understand the depths of my despair, but who are you? I was so lonely, so desperately lonely. Then, why on earth didn't you rejoin the conversation? Things have gone from bad from worse, you know? Bad to worse, you know? Yeah, I heard much of your conversation, or my craving for human contact. My ears devoured every last word that was uttered. You really were sad, weren't you? Poor Mr. Sholmes, I feel simply awful for you. It would seem my inferences are correct. Oh, surely you're not about to tell us that you solved the entire case once again. Oh, my dear madam, sometimes I wonder, for my genius for deduction to be commoditized, how much would I pawn it for? Seems Mr. Sholmes has had another of his flash of inspiration. What was that word? No, commoditized. Yeah, I got it right. But who knows if it will help resolve the situation between Miss Lestrade and the mysterious gentleman? What's the right thing to do here? Yeah, we should listen to deduction here. We're gonna do another one of these. It should be fun. Well, Mrs. Lestrade, it appears you find yourself in something of a predicament. Where the blue blazes you been, eh? Pardon? When a lady's in trouble, a true gentleman's supposed to be there to help. Straight away! Not an hour later. Harsh. And who, pray tell, are you? Mr. Edgar Benedict, you have in my eyes a veritably encyclopedic array of curiosities about your person. Nevertheless, there are two immovable conclusions I have drawn. I beg your pardon. Well, the first is this. The true reason you're to visit this pawnbroker today is something you've not yet revealed. And the second is this. A considerable crime is in contemplation when you will orchestrate with intent to steal a vast sum of money. Well, Mr. Benedict, what say you to my deductions? How? You stirred white as a hard-boiled egg. It would seem that once again, Mr. Sholmes has made a flawless deduction. Just who do you think you are, sir? Well, since we're not in court, the fact that he's reacting this way tells us that that Sholmes is definitely onto something. It doesn't matter. It doesn't necessarily matter they can't prove it yet, but this does mean we at least have reason to suspect him, whereas before we did not have any reason. Ah, yes, as I'd hoped. This is precisely the pained expression I was looking for. So, shall we begin? The time has come for yet another Herlock Sholmes' logic and reasoning spectacular. The Great Deduction. The game is afoot. The Mystery Man's aim. Now, first of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you venture in the pawnbrokery today. You claim to have followed this pickpocket here, having had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different. As revealed by that which you hold in your hand. Yes, who bought you the shop in the first place. The staff recruitment flyer. Oh, so it's going to be his cane that's the item of interest. Piece of paper as a staff wanted advertisement at this very shop. Yet even the most observant would soon realize the man of your appearance has no need for such an employ. No, there's some ulterior motive for your actions. Wait a minute, that cane, which you unwittingly clutch, exhibits an inconceivable contradiction. Yeah, the A and G, that is absolutely not his initials. I've had this cane for years. The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, missing Ferrul. Yeah, it's the fact the letters don't match his name. The end of the walking cane may be terminated with a metal for rule to protect the wooden tip. And yet detailed analysis shows the wooden tip to be utterly bare. Therefore, there's only one conclusion. The rod you hold in your hand, which appears to be a walking cane, is in fact no cane at all. You recoil, sir. Is something wrong? In your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer to the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is an understanding riddle, you see. From the moment I saw it, my suspicions were aroused. A walking cane demands such a stout candle, mused I. But of course, is he gonna predict it's a sword cane? It's no walking cane, no that rod. It's a broken handle of a shovel. What? Are you insane? And now, having determined this undeniable truth, the conclusion's clear, your true motive for coming here. Let's take employment to the establishment, or to excavate the ground, beneath the premises. Calculated crime. Tunnel underneath the pawnbrokery. The great crime itself. Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. Or we must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have been planning. This is utterly absurd. Suggest that I, gentlemen, intend to excavate the ground beneath this pawnbrokery with a broken shovel? What on earth do you propose I could expect to find there? Some long-forgotten treasure, I suppose. Save for a fanciful theory, what possible reason could I have to do as you say? Oh, but there is an ample reason. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. Ah, and your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped. Wait, what? Let us consider what would motivate a man to infiltrate a shop like this and covertly dig beneath its floor. And the answer is revealed in the council notice counter. Yeah, it's not there, it's gonna be... The letter gives notice of public works to be carried out in the local area. And according to the enclosed plan of the upcoming sewage works, beneath the shop runs a sewer that joins another, one that runs with the bank at the upside of the room. This madness has entered the sewers now, has it? Okay, that's a pretty good, yeah, it's a pretty good comeback, actually. By excavating the ground beneath our feet, we'd gain access to the waterway. It flows in very close proximity to a great vault of the financial institution opposite. What are you? In summary, sir, you devised a master plan to pull off an elaborate bank robbery. Master plan? Which brings us, at last, to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. With what plunder did the thief hope to make off with from the underground vault to the bank? Are you quite serious? Having consulted with the Scotland Yard some days ago, I happen to know the answer. But naturally, the answer is no secret to you, is it, Mr. Benedict? I have no idea what you're talking about. I think he actually does have no idea. Allow me to present an interesting piece of evidence here. You see, this picture postcard tells us all that we need to know. A postcard of the Great Exposition. I'm afraid you've actually quite lost me this time. Currently in the final stage of preparation, the Great Exposition will soon be underway, and the government's provided extra funds in order to complete the centerpiece, the Crystal Tower, and funds that are currently sitting in the vault of the bank on the other side of this road. Pardon? Yes, the considerable crime you've been contemplating is the theft of that which sits in the vault of the bank, the special reserve funds for the Great Exposition. Of course, this is top secret information, so keep it under your hat, please. Oh, oh, my dog is getting some water. One moment, please. I might need to let him out after this. Okay, I'll need to let him back in later, so be aware of that's going to be a thing that happens. Great crime. Steal the great exposition's reserve funds. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of the pawnbroking puzzle. Mr. Sholmes. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, an impressively upbeat deduction for a detective racked with loneliness, would you not agree? Well, it's true that you said the bank over the road, and was it true what you said about the bank over the road and what's in the vault? Indeed, though, few know of its existence, and one of the government's most closely guarded secrets. Gregson told me in the strictest confidence. But you just announced it to everyone here. Rather loudly, in fact. And if it's such a big secret, how would Mr. Benedict have come to find out about it? There can be but one explanation for that. Clearly, it's because the man is a criminal. But what if he didn't know anything about the money in the vault? He's a criminal, as you said, and buying a brand new shovel sure is to be the first thing he does now that you reveal the secret. Oh, or if he doesn't, maybe Mr. Windibank will. I mean, he's got plenty of shovels here after all. Oh, my life, I assure you, I am not so unscrupulous. Well, hopefully this has taught you a valuable lesson. Sensitive information must be handled with the utmost of care. One can never be sure that someone privy to the secrets won't disclose them. Once the word is out, it's out. Perhaps I'll think twice before confiding you next time, Mr. Sholmes. An excellent idea, Mr. Naruhodo. An excellent idea. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, you know what to do, I'm sure. Yes, let's listen to that great deduction again, and see if we can't massage it into shape. Very well then, let us start once more from the beginning. Of Herlock Sholmes' magnificent logic and reasoning spectacular. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Mystery man's aim. Tunnel beneath the pawnbrokery. I do believe that this suggestion here is also based off something that happened in one of the Sherlock books. Alright, first of all, we must ask ourselves a business. You came to the pawnbrokery today? You claim to have followed this pickpocket here, having the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different. It's revealed by that which you hold in your hand. Yes, or brought you to this shop in the first place. Staff recruitment flyer. It's not that. So, by Mr. Sholmes' reasoning, Mr. Benedict came here to apply for a job so he could dig down to the floor. Yes, and attempt to tunnel the sewers to gain access to the money in the vault to the bank across the road. But he wouldn't get very far with a broken shovel, would he? No, I think it's fair to say his motives lie elsewhere. The question is, where? What brought Mr. Benedict here at this particular point in time? Scribbled right, Kane. Hold on, the dogs are back. Give me just a moment, please. There we are. I'm watching the pair of them instead of just one tonight, so... That's a proper English gentleman's cane, isn't it? Look at the beautifully polished brass in the handle. Yeah, but Mr. Sholmes is right. It's not the sort of handle you usually see on a cane. Perhaps it's the latest London fashion? I mean, that's just guesswork, of course. True, I've never been the closest to when it comes to following fashion. Perhaps you could adopt a cane, Mr. Naruhodo. It might suit you. I have a feeling it might argue with the sword around my waist. Yeah, that might cause a bit too much going around, but we know the real reason here. It's scribbled writing. Oh, look at all the scribbled notes on the back of the flyer here. I don't believe it. What is it? Listen to what it says. Name, Gina Lestrade, height, 5'2", green cap, scruffy waistcoat, grubby white shirt, blue, satchel ragged. It's a detailed description of Miss Lestrade. Goodness, there's even a sketch of her, hat and all. Although if we showed it to her, she'd fire smoke at the grenade at his face for sure. And look, the details of the shop have been written down here too. Windibank's Pawnbrokery, Baker Street, redemption deadline 15th of April, which is today's date. Why did Mr. Benedict have all the information scrawled on the back of that piece of paper?
Take that!
Take that! Correction. Yes, what brought you to this shop in the first place is the info about Miss Lestrade. Quite so, my dear fellow. It would appear that the writing on the sketch that reversed the flyer pertained to the pickpocket, Miss Lestrade, and to Mr. Windibank's pawnbrokery here. You originally told us that you had merely given chase after Miss Lestrade stole the redemption ticket from you. That, sir, is a thinly veiled lie. It is the information on the back of the flyer that led you here today, by which I mean here to Windibank's pawnbrokery, and today, the redemption deadline of that overcoat. So you waited outside for the young girl matching the description you've written, waiting for the girl you've written to arrive. And you've gone to some lengths to hide the reason for your pursuit of Miss Lestrade. In other words, there's some ulterior motive for your actions. A cane, which you've unwittingly clutched in your person, exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction. But otherwise, I've had this cane for years. If so, then why is it not your initials on there? What's a ferrule? It's the metal cap commonly found at the end of a cane, Mr. Naruhodo. Ah, the bit that makes a nice clacking sound on the pavement. Yes, exactly. And Mr. Sholmes is right, it appears to be missing on this cane, but it doesn't actually look broken, does it? No, it doesn't. Though the gentleman did certainly recoil when he identified the cane as suspicious. In other words, there's something secret about the cane that Mr. Benedict would rather we don't know. Initialing. Look here, Mr. Zato, there's some letters on the handle. Ah, yes, those must be initials, I think. In the West, it's customary for people to engrave their belongings with their first letters of their names. So Herlock Sholmes would be H and S. That is correct. The initial on this cane, obviously... Oh. A and G. Why does it feel as though that's not quite right?
Take that!
The initialing. The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the initialing. And a most astute observation, would you say, Mr. Edgar Benedict? We are led to believe, sir, that your initials are E and B. Yet in the most possessive manner, you have on your grasp a cane bearing the initials A and G. An incontrovertible contradiction indeed, would you not agree? No, you're wrong. This cane isn't... You said before that you had that cane for years. So don't try to tell us you just borrowed it from a friend or found it in the park. In short, though you hold yourself to be a gentleman, you have withheld your true name. You recoil, sir. Is something wrong? And in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer of the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what's the truth behind the rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you have to conceal, is the understanding of the riddle you see. Alright, let's consider the bare bones of what happened here. Mr. Lestrade redeemed the fine-looking overcoat, and now a mysterious man's appeared, introducing himself with a fake name, and claiming the overcoat belongs to him. We know that he actually identified Miss Lestrade from a written description, which suggests that everything else he's told us is also untrue. So that what we need to do here is something to prove the overcoat cannot possibly belong to him. Split seam. Oh, the seam on the shoulder there is coming apart, look! So it is. So you know, a moment ago when Mr. Benedict was surprised by something that was said, I thought I heard it make a strange noise, sounded like a tiny growl. Then that must have been the sound of the seam ripping open. If you look closely, it does seem to be a very tight fit. The sleeves are stretched to bursting, and he wouldn't have a hope of fastening it at the front. In other words, it can't possibly be his, because it's way too small. If you were to run around in it, the whole thing would fall apart. That I'd like to see. I'm sorry. So how can we make Mr. Benedict run around? She's really giving this some thought. The split seam. I was wondering where that sound was a moment ago. That split seam would evidently like to conceal as the key to understanding this riddle. Yes, because the Oracle is rather obviously a poor fit. Having forced over your broad shoulders, the seam is already breaking apart. My suspicions were aroused from the outset. When you so badly lied about your name and so boldly waylaid this pickpocket. This catalog of untruth has all been for one very specific purpose. To steal the article from which the young girl redeemed Mr. Windybank. But what really irks me is this. The considerable crime I initially imagined has been considerably curtailed. To abscond with a redeemed item. Now the great crime. Alright, now Mr. Benedict, let us continue. We must expose the details of this elaborate crime you've been planning. This is absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, disdain to steal some tawdry article of pawnage? I've forgotten that I redeemed the article in the proper manner using the watchword. Had I not been the one to deposit in the first place, how could I possibly have known the relevant details? Oh, but the watchword can be discovered. As you're only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. Ah, and your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped. What? Let's consider how one might come to learn a secret watchword relating to the pawned property of another. The methods revealed by the council notice. Yeah, this is wrong. The direction of the deduction must change rather dramatically now, I think. Yeah, no more talk of tunneling into the sewers, which is a pity, because it all sounded rather exciting. I think that was the thing that was going on with the Red-Headed League. I don't remember, though. It might have been in a different book now that I think about it. I'd have to double-check. It's been so long. Can't deny this mysterious gentleman did know the watchword. Yeah, Professor. Now, if you didn't know that word, Mr. Windybank would never allow you to redeem the article. Or, looking at another way, if you did know the word, Mr. Windybank would allow you to redeem the article whether it was yours or not. Yeah, so you have to think a bit outside the box here. The question is, could this gentleman have found the watchword somehow? We're gonna have to examine this desk. Baker Street Works is the title. Yeah, and it does mention Sewage Works, as Mr. Sholmes said. Oh, and specifically mentions that tonight's sale at the confectionery shop at the corner won't be affected. Case selling first, confectionery later, Mr. Naruto. Curse my overly expressive face. Pawnbroker's revolver. There's nothing to do with it, but it's worth a look. This is Mr. Windybank's gun. Yeah, loaded with only one bullet, he said. It would appear that being a pawnbroker is a very life-or-death profession. That might just be this particular establishment. A notelet. Look at this, Miss Susato. Oh, it appears to be a memo Mr. Windybank has scribbled himself. Let's see, what does it say? Oh, Professor. Mr. Windybank must make a note of the watchwords the customers give him right before their eyes. And in an alarmingly clear script as well. Oh dear, I don't know where to look. Who knows what other secrets I might see? Oh, won't let me look at the book here. Oh, he's got a picture of his dog. How cute.
Take that!
The method is revealed by the notelet on the counter in which your eyes are inadvertently drawn. Yes, the broker here follows the same procedure whenever a customer comes to redeem an article. Yeah, he has to write them down because if he works with a lot of customers, it'd be hard to memorize them by heart. He asks the customer for the watchword and notes down the response uttered in a notelet he has in his hand. Then he consults his ledger and confirms whether or not the watchword matches that of the article in question. I would expect nothing less of a diligent pawnbroker, but his diligence clearly has its disadvantages. What are you talking about? It is increasingly apparent that you were present in the shop before your accusation against Miss Lestrade. In all likelihood, you followed her inside, then observed her talking to Mr. Windybank. When the diligent broker made note of the watchword in his common practice, you simply observed him writing the word professor on the notelet beside the ledger. And that, sir, was the master plan you devised to steal the pawned article from Miss Lestrade. Master plan? Which brings us at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. Why would you go to such lengths to redeem that particular article from the pawnbroker? Are you quite serious? For an ill-fitting overcoat hardly seems to justify the effort, much less a worthless music disc. But naturally, you had very good reason to make them yours, didn't you, Mr. Benedict? I have no idea what you're talking about. Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need. Alright, the articles were talking about the overcoat and the music box disc that was in one of the overcoat's pockets, which according to Mr. Windybank isn't even worth a penny, and yet this man went to such lengths to steal them. Why? But perhaps we already have the evidence we need to explain it. Could we, really? Better have a thorough look through all the evidence we've collected so far. Mr. McGill did! Oh, there's a little scrap of paper stuck on the reverse side of the disc. Look, and a scribbled word or two. Looks like somebody's name. For McGilded. It couldn't be. But it is Mr. Naruhodo, a name I shall never forget for as long as I live. But why? Why is his name on this? Look at all the little bumps on the disc. They're so tiny. Yeah, the protrusions are called pins, and they pluck the teeth of the comb to make notes. And just on the edge, there's a small amount of blood. Yeah, the blood of the mysterious Mr. Egbert Benedict. And when Miss Lestrade tried to grab the disc, he pinched his fingers, like when you're grating some daikon radish and accidentally catch your finger. Ouch, just thinking about it hurts. Puts me off eating radish.
Take that!
The music box disc. You see, this music box disc tells us all we need to know. What's that on the back? It reads, for Mr. McGilded, our late client. Ah, Mr. Magnus Mcgilded, the unfortunate philanthropist who perished in curious circumstances at the Old Bailey 2 months ago. A prominent man in London, though his loan-mongering demonstrated a distinct lack of scruples. I still hold to my theory. I don't think he did commit that murder, but he did definitely tamper with the evidence to make himself more easily able to get off. So you're an associate of him, perhaps a subordinate. Mr. McGilded was a man of unusually small stature. In fact, he was precisely the right size for that overcoat you squeezed yourself into. Oh. Your true identity remains shrouded in a mystery, Mr. Egbert Benedict. The final conclusion here is crystal clear. The reason you came to this pawnbrokery today was to retrieve an article left behind by the late Mr. Magnus Mcgilded. Ah! I had the feeling that we hadn't seen the last of what happened with that case before. Deduction complete. Elementary, my dear. Well, well, Mr. Magnus Mcgilded. Not a name I expected to hear under these circumstances. Mr. Sholmes, I'm afraid there's something very troubling on my mind. Pray tell, Miss Susato. Well, according to Mr. Windybank told us earlier, today was the final day on which the coat could have been redeemed, was it not? Yes, madam, that is correct. Today would be precisely 2 months since it was first deposited. Well, today's the 15th of April, so 2 months ago today. That's right. Would have been the 15th of February, sir, that's right. It's all carefully recorded in my ledger. deposited... I should have known something when I first thought, huh, that's the same thing as our case when we first got here. Deposit at 10:30 p.m., I see. Wait, but that suggests... Yes, the 15th of February is precisely the day at which the omnibus murder took place. And 10:30 in the evening was precisely the time which the terrible events were unfolding. Suggestive is not the word. It would seem the matter is entirely beyond coincidence. Someone knew he was going to die. You're, of course, at liberty to make whatever outlandish deductions you choose. However, I must insist you hand over the music box disc, now. It would be a terrible shame for you to return to your native land in a box. What did I do? If we hand over the disc, we lose all of our leverage. And there are some things a man must protect at all costs. This may well be one of those things. Then again, it may not. Hold it! Mr. Windybank, this is my shop. I can't allow any harm to come to my customers. If that were to happen, I should have to take my own life. Mr. Windybank, no! Alright, that's enough. Inspector Gregson! Inspector! That's right, Sunshine. The alarm was raised to one of our emergency lines, so we got here as fast as we could. Now, what's all this then? What's all this about, huh? Oh, praise be, you're here at last. I still was moments away from forfeiting my own life in my own establishment. It would seem you have the upper hand. Alright, you lot have some explaining to do. I don't appreciate being bothered with some petty argy-bargy. Petty, Mr. Windybank very nearly met his end. Yeah, by his own gun, as far as I can tell. Oh dear. Now, the whole of Britain could meet with its end if I don't get to the bottom of this case I'm supposed to be working on. Wait, what on earth is this case, Inspector? Spare no detail, Gregson. I might have said a little too much. No matter, it's nothing to do with you lot. Anyway, sir, you're gonna have to come with me down the station. Oh, but of course, Inspector. Ah! He's getting away! After him, lads! Whistle a beat officer, too! There's been a spate of thefts at pawn shops around here recently, so we fitted emergency buttons under the counters for brokers to let us know when there's trouble. Oh, Inspector, I was very worried there for a while, very worried indeed. Now then, Mr. Permanently in Mourning. Oh, yes. I'll be taking whatever this is of Mr. Gilded's down to the yard, thank you very much. Hand over. Oh, yes, of course. No, don't give it to him, it's mine, that is, mine. I'm sorry, miss, but anything belonging to Mr. McGill has to be taken as evidence now. As evidence? If the police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow, we have no choice but to capitulate. It's all yours, Inspector. And so we handed Mr. McGilded's disc over to Inspector Gregson, and were similarly turfed out of the shop into the street. Oh my, this case is only heating up. The 15th of April, Baker Street. See, that's why I hate grown-ups. All they do is feed you a pack of lies and take stuff away from you. Oh really, Miss Lestrade? Tell me, is that overcoat keeping you warm? What? Oh my, surely you were given that. Yeah. The D let me keep it after I looked daggers at him for long enough. He went to the pockets and said, go on then, nab it. For telling me to scarp her. Always pays off giving people a look like you ate them. I can't help feeling like it's gonna get you into serious trouble one day. What I really want was a nice shiny disc, mind. music box disc? Mr. Windybank said it was practically worthless. I think I'm gonna go and have another bash. Give him a long and hard stare. I think not, Mr. Strahd. We shan't enter Mr. Windybanks again today. Why no? That's not fair. It can't be helped, I'm afraid. Police are investigating the scene now and taking a statement from Mr. Windybank. That disc's mine. I had the ticket for the code and was in the code's pocket. There should be something else and all. That's what the rotten code said, isn't it? Yeah, he did mention something about another article, didn't he? Well, then that's mine too, whatever it is. Now she's really pushing her luck. Miss Lestrade, I think it's time to admit defeat. You've had your haul for the day. Yeah, and it's all your fault, Sholmes. So what are your plans now? Will you dine with us this evening? Eh? Iris would be delighted to cook, I'm sure, and I might entertain you with a modest violin recital. No time. Why would I come around your place? Have you lost your head or something? Oh dear, she's gone. Having riled on me quite unnecessarily, I might add. I can't help wondering if perhaps she might turn up anyway. Interesting. When she's had a chance to calm down, I think there's a good chance she'll decide to come. Alright, very well then. I'll inform Iris to set a place for our potential guest at the dinner table this evening. And one more thing, I should be glad to have your company later too. I'm sorry? I believe I'll have a rather splendid surprise to show you. Oh, how exciting. What is it? You shall have to wait and see, Miss Susato. Until later, then. We were asked to show our faces here, so... Sholmes' suite. Ah, Susie, Runo, come on in. Good afternoon, Iris. Thank you so much for breakfast this morning. Oh, don't mention it. Goodness, look at the time already. Busy as always? I'm preparing everything for dinner this evening. Oh, already? You're obviously cooking something special, are you? Oh, yes, after all, we have a special guest joining us tonight. Guess who it is? Go on, you'll never guess. Look at those little eyes of hers shining. Oh dear, it's awkward when you already know the answer, isn't it? It's Ginny, isn't that exciting? Oh, what a surprise. Yes, it's wonderful news. Wow, Iris seems overjoyed at the idea. I can't wait to learn some pickpocketing tips from a real professional. Oh, that does sound like fun. I'm not sure that's entirely appropriate. Are you, Mr. Naruhodo? By the way, Iris, what's Mr. Sholmes up to? Early? Oh, he's been like that ever since he got back. Hello, Mr. Sholmes. I beg that you speak to me. I'm sorry. I don't know who you are, but kindly take your leave. As you can see, I'm not here. I don't know how to respond to that. I do apologize. When it gets like this, he's completely oblivious to everything. Yes, I see. Really, but he's just like a child sometimes. Really does. Mr. Sholmes and Iris have something about a parent-child relationship, don't they? Yeah, except that Iris is clearly the parent here. Come to think of it, I wonder where her real parents are. What's the matter, Runo? You have such a funny look on your face. Oh, no, it's nothing. I know what it is. Why does this girl get to live with Mr. Sholmes, you're wondering? Am I right? How did you... Oh, Runo, I can read you like a book. This girl's dangerous. Don't worry, you can ask me anything. I don't mind. Alright, so first things off, Jeannie, you mean Miss Gina Lestrade, correct? The woman from the McGill case 2 months ago, right? Yes, who also stole my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Although, after that trial, I invited her back here and we had dinner together. Now we're the best of friends. Oh, I'm glad it worked out. Oh, what a lovely tale. Yes, now if I bump into her on the street, she runs away as fast as she can. Oh. and I'd chase her down to the back alleys. Interesting idea of friendship. And then I let her have the latest color of smoke grenade I've developed. Oh. So many beautiful colors. Ginny wants to help me make a whole rainbow. I suppose this means you've let Mr. Straw keep the smoke grenade launcher in the end? Yes, that's right. I'd gotten bored of it anyway. Hurley's always reacts the same when I shoot him with it now. Poor Hurley. Oh, I can't wait for Ginny to arrive. It's been too long since last came over. I'm so excited. I just hope she actually does come. Living with Sholmes. I'm sure you've been wondering why it is I live here with Hurley, haven't you? Well, it has crossed my mind, yeah. That and where are your real parents? Mommy and Daddy aren't with me anymore. Mummy passed away when I was born. And around the same time, my father... Well, he had to go to a faraway land because of one of the cases he and Hurley were working on. Wait a minute. You say he and Hurley? Yes. Daddy and Hurley were always solving mystery cases together. She didn't mention that before. He wrote them all up in his diaries. That's what's in the middle chest over there. Really, he recorded them all. So, you mean it's true, Mr. Sholmes? Really did have a partner with whom he tackled some of the most taxing cases. Oh yes, I mean it's always nice to have one, isn't it? So Mr. Sholmes' partner was your father? Yep. Hurley told me I wasn't allowed to look in the chest. It only made me want to look even more, so I opened it up and found your father's memoirs. Yeah, so I asked Hurley, who wrote these? He nearly fell off his chair. Then he told me. That's when I found out that the author of all those accounts was my father. Iris's father was Mr. Sholmes' partner. Iris's father. Now here we're going to get the big reveal that he was the murder victim of the very first case in this game. I practically lived with Hurley all my life. I was so tiny when he took me in. So it came as quite a shock when Hurley told me he wasn't really my daddy, I mean. It must have. I wonder why Mr. Sholmes chose to tell you at such a young age. Hurley said it's because he wouldn't have been able to hide it from me. Oh? Well, having lived with Hurley all these years, you might say his ways have rubbed off on me. There's some things I can just see. Especially lies. I know when people are lying before they open their mouths sometimes. Right. You know, I was so fascinated when I read Daddy's diaries. That was what inspired me to write The Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, actually. I'd always assumed Sholmes simply told you all those thrilling stories. Oh no, Hurley's hopeless like that. He forgets everything. As soon as he solved a case, it all but vanishes from his mind. Oh, I see. The day was so embarrassing. As usual, he totally forgot about the case he'd just solved. So the very next day, he gathered together all the people involved and pretended to solve the case again. It's quite a shock for everyone. You could say that again. So you share your father's surname, don't you, Iris? That's right, Wilson. Daddy is Dr. John H. Wilson. I know him from his diaries. He's a doctor of medicine, you see. That's what prompted me to study and study so I could earn a doctorate as well. Iris's father, who went to some distant land, and is a doctor by the name of John H. Wilson. Yeah. I think they're milking it a bit, but I guess this is one of the major story reveals. The court will now come to hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Kindly state before the court the name of the victim in this case. The victim's name was Dr. John H. Wilson. That's right. Visiting professor of medicine at Imperial Yume University, and the man who, in the most bizarre circumstances, lost his life just before we left Japan. Miss Susato. Yes, perhaps we shouldn't pursue this conversation any further at this time. I think that would be for the best. Ah, my dear fellows, how good to see you. Mr. Sholmes. Why ever did you not make your presence known to me before? Well, no matter now. So, how the devil are you? We've, been with you for most of the day. Goodness, really? Do tell me, Mr. Sholmes, is your violin unscathed? My violin? Whatever you're talking about, dear madam. Oh, never mind that. I have something far more interesting to show you. Behold, my dear fellows. Oh, another music box disc. No, not another disc, Miss Usato. This is the one Greg said we demanded. Mr. McGilded's disc. Oh my, then what's doing here? You know, at times, Miss Naruhodo, I think that although I have an undeniable turn for detection, I may be even more adept at larceny. Oh, that'd be wonderfully exciting. I'd be your pickpocketing assistant, and Runo could be our go-to lawyer if we ever got caught. Right. Plus, Susie has such beautiful handwriting, she could write all of our menacing crime notifications. Oh yes, I'd be delighted. I'm just going to pretend this conversation never happened, I think. Let's ask about Magnus Mcgill first. Magnus Mcgill. Not a name I expected to hear again so soon. Yeah, it's only been 2 months since that grisly case. Yeah. It's implied, I guess, the implication that Holmes has ADD, that makes sense here. But even something like this, he'll never forget easily. Mr. Mcgill had perished within hours of the trial's conclusion. Was it the curse of the Reaper? No one knows, still even now. The omnibus was reduced to a pile of ash. Not a single piece of evidence remained, and with the man's death, the truth about the murder in which he was so intimately involved was buried. Oh yeah, and for the record, I still think the mysterious telegram that Miss Susato here refuses to tell us about was indeed that our last client is also dead, even though he left to Japan, which is a very interesting implication. This means whatever's going on with the Curse of the Reaper, it can somehow go across the world into Japan. The newspapers are still claiming that it remains an unsolved case. The murder of the brickmaker, Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason. In the end, the truth of the matter remains a mystery. We still have no idea what really happened that night. And although Mr. McGill was found not guilty through my defense, I still don't know if that was the right judgment or not. Well, just because he's a scumbag doesn't mean he's guilty. We'll have to see how it goes. It appears the case is not yet closed. The music box disc. I don't understand. How did that disc come to be in your possession? I thought Inspector Gregson took it back to Scotland Yard. Quite correct. That sort of uncompromising attitude is precisely why I always carry some of this. That's a bar of caramel, Mr. Sholmes. Your one and only friend of loneliness, you said, if I'm not mistaken. If you'll humor me, my dear fellows, cast your minds back to when the good detective confiscated the disc. I'll be taking whatever it is Mr. McGilded's down the yard. Hand it over. Oh, yes, of course. Please demand something as evidence, my dear fellow. We have no choice but to capitulate. It's all yours, Inspector. For the briefest of moments, I had the disc in my hand, did I not? Yes, you did. But I still understand. It's precisely that moment that I summoned my one and only friend into action. I pressed the disc into a pair of bars like this. That's amazing. The disc and all of its miniature protrusions made... Okay, so he made a copy. Indeed, this caramel is quite exceptional. I developed it myself, you know. Suitably soft for making impressions, but resistant to melting. The result of a precisely controlled solution. How extraordinary. Carrying a pair of these on one's person frequently proves very useful indeed. Take a house key, for example. A simple press and its unique form is duplicated. I can enter anyone's property at will, and never without a high sucrose nourishment. Yes, it sounds, illegal. From the image, I was able to create this. I confess I was most curious to know what manner of music would issue when the disc is played. It's a message, isn't it? Do tell us, Mr. Sholmes, what music does the disc play? Well, unfortunately, I have no idea. No idea? None whatsoever. Are you familiar with the workings of a music box, my dear fellows? No, I'm afraid not. Oh, goodness, you don't know, Runo? Indeed not. Inside of a music box, a special metal piece is called a comb. That's what produces the sound. Small protuberances like pluck the different teeth of the comb so they rotate past it, making different making different notes. The first music boxes to be invented used a rotating cylinder with protuberances in it. But over time, a new type of player was produced, one which uses discs such as these. With that development, the popularity of music boxes spread far and wide around the globe. Yeah, I believe this is a precursor to the music record, which of course would later lead to CDs, which has more or less been replaced. CDs are still around, but for the most part, they've moved on to MP3 players and other handheld devices. Why exactly? Because these discs are easy to produce and can be interchanged to facilitate playing of different tunes. There are a great many firms in Europe now manufacturing music boxes as a result. It is wonderful to be able to enjoy music, even when no performer is present. But it's the very essence of But it's that very success of invention that means we are now present with an insurmountable problem. What do you mean? As you may imagine, the construction of one firm's music box does not match that of another, and we have no way of knowing in which music box this particular disc was designed to be played. There's no resolution to this problem, I'm afraid. It's quite intricate. Oh, I see. So that's why. Naturally, I tested the disc in the few music boxes I do have in my disposal. But as you can hear, to no avail. The results were equally unsatisfactory in this one. So I'm presently engaged in acquiring an example of all music boxes ever made in Europe. Every single one? That's Hurley for you, always taking things too far. Oh, my dear girl, an unsolved riddle is quite repugnant to my constitution. But surely all the different types of Europe will amount to a huge volume of music boxes, won't it? Yes, that is certainly true. In the worst case, I shall just have to ask you to vacate the attic room. What? Well, it's time I started getting things ready for dinner, I think. Jeannie will be here before long. Thank you, Iris. Thank you. I'll help you. Of course, Susie, there's plenty to do. I think I'll investigate the condition of my faithful performing partner. Now then, where did I leave it? Let's be a lesson to you, Mr. Sholmes. Never leave anything too precious with a pawnbroker. Yes, you may be right. Oh, that reminds me of something Mr. Windybank said before. He said he had a manuscript of Iris's in the pond, didn't he? Oh, did he? Yeah, he definitely mentioned it. Mr. Sholmes' latest tale of otherworldly mystery lies dormant in my storeroom, I believe he said. So you heard about that, did you? I expect you were as incensed as I was. Oh, yes, the idea of such a wonderful story languishing in Mr. Windybank's store, gathering dust. Oh, my dear madam, I'm quite sure I told you already. Pawnbroker's storeroom's the safest place, more secure than a bank's vault. And what about your Stradivarius, Hurley? Was it safe and secure? Well, there may be the occasional mix-up, caused by a certain impetuous someone not too far from me right now. Do you have any idea how long it took for me to write that Baskerville story, Hurley? It sounds so exciting, the Hound of the Baskerville. I should love to read it. Wait, how did she know its title? What's going on here? Why does it feel like an icy chill just swept through the room? Susie, what did you just say? You said the Hound of the Baskervilles, but how could you know the full title? Well, she snuck a look. And that's because Miss Soto is such a great fan of all the stories of Mr. Sholmes, of course. But Runo, the Hound of the Baskervilles, has never been published. Wait, what? When I showed Hurley the manuscript, he told me I wasn't allowed to publish it yet. I don't understand. That's why he said he'd keep it safe, until it was the right time for the story to be made public, you see. So that's why the manuscript is at Windybanks. And yet, how could Susie here know its title? Well, Hurley, what's going on? What is it, Mr. Sholmes? It would appear our guest has arrived. Miss Lestrade. Oh, this was a bad idea. I knew I weren't welcome. I'm going. No way, Miss Lestrade. We've all been eagerly awaiting your arrival. Haven't we, Iris? Oh, yes, just wait there, G. Oh, everything ready in a jiffy. Come along, Susie. Maybe the telegram was... No, I'm still convinced the Reaper curse didn't get our previous defendant, because that would make the next case a lot more intriguing, because this means that even for a case that does not result in the defendant being executed if they fail, the curse still gets them, which, well, even Gregson himself said that would be excessive, given the crime. I'll just stand there. Come on in. What do you say, some... Mendels. I won't take no for an answer. Meddlesome it is, then. The cat. That evening, Iris prepared us all a meal that was even more delicious than usual. Mr. Sholm's violin performance was in no way meddlesome, and Gina, as we came to call her, taught us how to steal things from one another without being noticed. Everyone thoroughly enjoyed themselves on the night. Interesting, the telegram mentioned the Hound of the Baskerville, or... Yeah, how did she know the full title? The Naruhodo Legal. That was a very enjoyable evening, wasn't it? Oh yes, Iris's cooking was truly divine, and I feel as though I can still hear the enchanting strains of Mr. Sholm's violin even now. Best of all, I bet I could steal all the glasses from his lordship's face next time we're in court. Naruhodo-san, could I consult with you about something? Well, it's probably worth knowing how to do general sleight of hand, because there are a few tricks to it. I've attempted to follow tutorials and stuff, but I haven't really mastered it. Not that's when I really need to, but... And there's a few tricks to it. So rest assured, if I ever attempt to steal your wine glass, you will probably notice because I will screw something up. What's the matter, Susato? It's about the telegram I received. Ah, finally. The one that arrived first thing this morning, I suppose. I've been summoned. Summoned? What do you mean? The telegram is from the Lord Chief Justice's office. Lord Strong has asked to see me. Oh, really? When? Tomorrow morning. Oh, what? Then we have to start preparing at once. Oh, that won't be necessary, Naruhodo-san. I've been summoned alone. Alone? What on earth for? I have no idea. I suppose I shall find out tomorrow. What's all this about? Whatever it is, it's making me very uneasy. Knock, knock. Oh, who could that be at this late hour? Good evening, friends. Ah, Iris, hello again. And Gina, too. Yes, Gina's gonna be staying with us tonight. She's gonna sleep in with me. Isn't that right, Ginny? Well, yeah. Oh, how lovely. Let me make a pot of tea. You know, I've learned so much today. Oh? What in particular? All those things Ginny showed us, isn't it wonderful? Ah, you mean all those pickpocketing techniques. We had fun trying them out on each other, didn't we? I think I've awakened natural talent. I can earn a living off it. You might be getting a hell of yourself a little there. So, what brings you to our humble quarters this late hour? Well, you see, I came to return this. Wait, what? Hey, that's mine! It's still my court record. Oh my, how did you... I told you, didn't I? I have a natural talent for it. Oh yes, I'd forgotten. Iris literally is a child genius. So anyway, here, you can have it back. Not that I really understand why you wear it, though. Thank you. Alright, then, good night. Yes, good night. So this is your office, is it? What do you think, Ginny? I think I wouldn't fancy my chances with a lawyer what lives in a place like this. Yeah, me too. It seems as though Iris here still has something she'd like to talk about. I suppose she probably wants to talk about the manuscript. Yes, I suppose she probably does. The manuscript. Iris, I suppose you're hoping to talk about the manuscript, aren't you? Aren't you going to tell me? I'm so sorry, I need a little more time, please. Alright, I understand. I hope I haven't made you feel awkward. Oh, no, not at all, Iris, not at all. I don't know what all this is about, really, but... it's a story made up. Is Iris, this manuscript, or whatever you call it? It's not exactly a story I made up, it's something I read in Daddy's diaries. Daddy's? That's right. I don't suppose I've mentioned to you before, Ginny, but my daddy was Hurley's assistant once, his partner. Eh? They solved all sorts of strange, mysterious cases together. Is that right, mister? Apparently so. I was surprised as you are, though. And Daddy wrote all the details of every single case down, you see, in his diaries. So I study them, write my stories based on what actually happened. So, where's your old man now, then? He had to go away on urgent business to a faraway land, and he'll be gone a very long time. So I've never really met him. Oh, right. Come to think of it. I don't know anything about Gina's parents either. Perhaps, we should ask her. Hound of the Baskervilles. Iris, this Hound of the Baskervilles story, I take it that's another tale inspired by her father's accounts. That's right, I thought it was fascinating. But it's different somehow. From the other cases, I mean. How? I don't really know, but it must be special in some way, because after I'd written it, and I showed it to Hurley, he turned as white as a sheet. It was the first time I'd ever seen him like that. It pains me to have to say this after you've toiled over it for so long, Iris, but the story must not be published at this time, under any circumstances. Well, why not? It's one of my best works. I'm not at liberty to say, not now. Please do not ask me. Alright, then I won't. But I do solemnly swear I'll explain everything one day, Iris, when the time is right. And that's how the manuscript came to me with Mr. Windybank, isn't it? Yeah. Hurley said I'd be somewhere very safe. That really gets my goat, that does. He's treating you like a child. It's mean, that's what it is, keeping secrets like that. I'm sure Mr. Sholmes isn't trying to be mean. If he said he wasn't at liberty to talk about it, I'm sure there must have been a very good reason for it. I think so, too. You lot are too trusting for your own good, but he can't pull the wool over my eyes. Sholmes is lying to Eris. Bet my life on it. What? Hurley's lying to me. In order to talk to someone else in the room, we have to do this. Your parents. I've realized that I don't know anything about your parents, Gina. I ain't gonna have. Never did have. Oh. I figured she might be an orphan. Look, the East End's full of orphans like me. No one wants nothing to do with us from the minute we're born, not even our mums. But we all stick together. The older ones look after the little ones and make sure they get by. So that's why you're a pickpocket. Nah, having's my life, I love it. I get a kick out of every time I lift some pompous idiot's purse. That's how we all afford to eat. Like Robin Hood, ain't it? That's how I see it. Regina. Oh, come on, I do think about it sometimes. What it'd be like to have parents, I mean. I always thought it'd make everything right. But having listened to what Iris just said, it sounds like having parents isn't always easy either. Oh. I mean, if you know you never had them, you don't feel like you're always wanting to meet them. It's true. I do want to see Daddy so much. Oh, Iris. Sholmes' lie. Gina, what did you mean when you said that you know Mr. Sholmes is lying to Iris? Well, he reckons he bought a manuscript or whatever, right? Come on, that's obviously a load of rubbish. Oh my, why'd you think that? It's simple. If felt the story was really an old Rinbank storeroom, there's no way someone from halfway around the world, in other words, you, could know about it. Sorry, but asking me, he must have sold it, without telling you. But Hurley would never do something like that. Sure of it. Ha. We're up to a lot worse than that, believe me. Barefaced liars, a lot of them. In that case, why does Mr. Windybank still have the manuscript? Why wasn't it published? If it's been published and distributed, why would it be in there? Why you just ain't realized it yet? I'm telling you, that manuscript ain't at Windybank's. Soon see if you had a look. Even if you can trust him, I don't. I'm sure he's a liar, the rest of him. Well, we could always go check, I suppose. I mean, she should... No, she wouldn't have it. Sholmes would have it, since he was the one who put it there. So we need to figure out what his passcode is and his ticket. We could easily get past all of this if Susato would just tell them where she got the whole thing, but the fact she's refusing to talk means that it's something that would get her in trouble or something, yeah. But, it's because she's refusing to explain where she heard of it, that she can't use that to explain where she got it and therefore prove that it wasn't distributed. If I'm honest, I have wondered if Hurley's telling me the truth sometimes. See? Oh, but I don't mean that I think he sold it. I mean that I sometimes wonder if he might have hidden my manuscript somewhere I don't know. Even though it's wrong of me to doubt him. And don't be too hard on yourself, Iris. Oh my goodness, look at the time. Come along, Ginny, we should go back downstairs. Yeah, alright. And please, don't mention any of this to Hurley, will you? No, of course not. Good night then, Iris. Good night then, Gina. You must let me make breakfast for you tomorrow morning, I insist. Oh, yes, please. I can't wait, Susie. Good night then. Iris. It sure is easy to forget, isn't it? Sometimes she speaks just like an adult, but deep down, she's still just a child. Well, I think it's time that I turn in for the night, too. Dr. John H. Wilson, Iris's father, but also the name of the murdered visiting professor at UMA University. It can't be a mere coincidence. There's something deeper going on here. Why? Yeah, we never learned why he was killed. We just learned how it happened. For the purposes of court case, the how is more important. But Mr. Naruhodo. That voice. That's Mr. Sholmes. Oh, what's going on? It's the middle of the night. It's Miss Lestrade. She's gone. Gina? She's supposed to be sleeping in Iris's room, but her bed's empty. Well, she's an independent young woman. She's probably decided to go home, no? I think not. From speaking to her before she retired, I received the distinct impression that she was looking forward to breakfasting with Miss Susato. No, I don't believe the girl's gone home, but I've been waiting for over an hour now. Over an hour? If you'll indulge me. Look out the window, my dear fellow. What's this about? Wait, what? Wait a minute. Why is there a light on at this time of night? That's Mr. Windybank's pawnbrokery. It's simple. If that story was really in Mr. Windybank's storeroom, there's no way someone from halfway across the world, in other words, you, could know about it. Sorry, Iris, but if you ask me, I sold it. Without telling you. Could Gina have gone? It seems you have some knowledge of the situation, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm sorry? Oh, no. Not really. Well, anyway, we must investigate at once. Mr. Zato. Oh, he was calling her. 1:14 a.m. Baker Street. The door to Windybank's, it's open. And the lamp is burning. It must be Gina, mustn't it? Let us hope it's nothing more sinister. What? Come, there's not a moment to lose. Clearly something's afoot inside. Oh no, is Mr. Windybank dead? There's no one here. Oh yes, there is. Bang. Ah, Mr. Sholmes. What the? Has Sholmes been shot? Leave me. But after them. Right now. Right. Blast, I've lost them. Hello, hello, what are we? The alarm was just raised from this pawnbroker, sir. Would you know something about that? Officer, come with me, it's my friend, he's Mr. Sholmes, he's been shot. Shot? Shot? With the policeman close behind me, I ran back to Windybank's.
Mr. Sholmes!
Mr. Naruhodo!
How bad is it? Never mind me, but there's much at stake. Behind that door. In the storeroom.
You know, this is important because they animated it. A lock, eh? Well, let's hope your powers of observation are good. Mr. Windybank's been murdered.
It's Gina!
Mr. Windybank was murdered and Gina was knocked out. Things are finally heating up, it seems. Bang. Ah. I'll be alright, Mr. Naruhodo. After them, go! There was one tall man, one short man. Behind that door in the storeroom. Hurry! Oh, she has the gun in her hand. Unfortunately, this case predates the ability to... From that moment, Mr. Windybank's brokery became a crime scene. Everything that followed happened in a whirlwind of activity. The arrival of the police, the preliminary investigation of the scene, and the questioning. It was just before dawn before I was allowed back into my lodgings at Route 21. Oh, Iris. A telegram came, but all it said was, wait at home. Oh yeah, we asked one of the policemen to have it sent. It's simply impossible to come back. When I woke up, I was all alone. Early and Ginny were gone, everyone was gone. What happened, Runo? Poor Iris, she's trembling. She's obviously trying very hard not to let herself get too worried. Alright, I'll explain everything that I know. Something's awful has happened, hasn't it? I'm afraid so. Yes. Oh, no, oh, that's precisely what he said. Yes, I'm afraid so. I'm sorry I have to tell you this, Iris, but Mr. Windybank is dead. He was shot. We discovered it in the early hours of the morning. Oh, yes, I had a feeling. You did? When I saw all those police carriages pulling up outside his shop, I knew something must have happened there. When we entered Windybank's in the small hours, we disturbed a gang of 2 thugs. They ran out of the street. I chased after them, but they got away. So, it was one of them who shot Mr. Windybank, I suppose? I don't know, but that's not what the police believe at the moment. Oh, why not? They've arrested someone else as their prime suspect, you see, Gina. Ginny, but why? Well, the thing is, she had a gun in her hands. No, Ginny wouldn't do something like that. I know, none of us think she did it. Then why did they arrest her? I'm sorry, there was nothing I could do. Alright, first show him the situation. So where's Hurley then? Is he still investigating the scene? He really ought to have some breakfast. It's not good for him to miss meals. I don't want you to worry, Iris, but I have some news about Mr. Sholmes. He was taken to the hospital this morning. What? Well, when we entered the Mr. Windybanks, a gun was fired, and he took a bullet. Hurley was shot? No. It's alright, his life isn't in danger. Really, are you sure? Where is he? Which hospital? He's at St. Sinners, attending to him there. I assume that's pronounced Sinners, not Signers. I'm gonna see him at once. I'm sorry, Iris, but you can't. Why not? That's not fair. I'm a family member, I should be allowed. No, I mean, nobody can see him at the moment. He's not allowed any visitors. They're preparing to operate. To operate? Oh, poor Hurley. This is Otto's situation. Where's Susie, Runa? She's still at the police station. Oh, why? I expect she's still being questioned. The police said they wouldn't be finished for a while. Why aren't you there then? Well, because I didn't get a good look at the criminals, so they weren't questioning me for long. Mrs. Otto stayed behind at the scene to tend to Mr. Sholmes, so they didn't get started until later. I see. Besides, one of us had to come back to be with Iris. I'm glad Inspector Gregson agreed to letting me leave early. So they were going to keep him as well, but someone needed to be here to tell Iris. You should have let me know and I would have come to the station. Alright, injured Sholmes first. It was the 2 thugs who had Mr. Windybank's shot. They shot Mr. Sholmes when they disturbed him, you see. It was pitch black inside the shop at the time. I went totally blank, I'm afraid. I just froze. After them, go! After that, I ran out in the street, but, well, they were long gone. I shouldn't have hesitated. I'm so sorry. It's my fault. I let them get away. I think that's a very good thing. I'm sorry. Well, if you'd seen which way they went and chased after them, you might have been shot as well, you know? On top of everything else, I couldn't bear that. Oh, Iris. I don't understand why they arrested Jeannie. It's not fair. What about the 2 thugs? Weren't they the prime suspects after all? They shot Hurley dead, didn't they? No, I mean, Mr. Sholmes isn't dead, Iris. This is all so horrible. The thing is, Mr. Windybank was found on the floor in the storeroom where he keeps all the deposit articles. And the storeroom door was locked from the inside. See, but he wasn't alone in there. Gina was found next to him on the floor as well. According to the detectives who investigated afterwards. Don't tell me. There was no one else in the room? Yeah, exactly. How'd you know? It's the only explanation. Yeah, the only explanation indeed. What do you mean by that, Runo? Well, what can I say? Damned if I agree, damned if I don't. Well, don't worry, we've solved a locked room murder before. I'm afraid I'll need to go out again now, Iris. There's not much I can do at the moment, but I can at least try to find out how Mr. Sholmes and Gina are getting on. I want to go too. Take me with you, Runo. I can't stand just sitting around here waiting. I'm not sure how I feel about taking a 10-year-old child to the scene of a murder, but I don't want to leave her all alone here either. Alright then, Iris, perhaps you can help me. Oh, yes, I'd love to. Alright, Gina's at prison. Mr. Sholmes is probably in his hospital bed. Don't forget, we have to visit the crime scene. We need to conduct a thorough investigation. I can see you're ready for action. I imagine Iris would appreciate going to the hospital sooner rather than later. Yeah, we should probably go there first. The 16th of April, St. Sinner's Hospital, Ward 3. I'm gonna take a drink real quick for my soda here. There we are, my throat was getting a little dry. A grisly murder, but I suppose that's the irony of a murder mystery. In order for there to be a mystery, there has to be a grisly murder. Hurley, oh. He's not here. No, that's strange. The nurse definitely said he was in the bed by the window, didn't she? Oh, he's... Oh, I know what's probably happened. Hurley was being a big baby and the bullet wound wasn't that bad and he's been sent home. I'm not so sure about that. Baby or not, there's no question it was a fairly serious injury that Mr. Sholmes suffered. Hello, hello, what have we here? Hello, hello, what have we here? This ward's off limits, no visiting. What are you doing here, eh? Well, I'll have you know, we're Hurley's next of kin. Eh? Oh, well, begging your pardon then, ma'am. So, a little lady and a curious Eastern gentleman. Great mystery solver and it's a mysterious family, eh? That's how you see us, I'm sure. Yeah, Sherlock always kept a rather interesting array of folks around. Where is he, Constable? Where's Hurley? I believe he's currently in the operating theatre, ma'am. Undergoing an extensive operation. Extensive? It's been several hours since he went in. Oh dear. Is he gonna be alright? Well, it doesn't appear to be working, you see. The anesthetic, that is. Oh, I've heard a report the gentleman claims he may have had a little too much to drink last night. Coffee, that is. Anyway, I think it would be fair to assume that he won't be back for several hours yet. I see. Thank you, Constable. Perhaps we should leave and come back later. Oh, poor Hurley. Alright. 16th of April. Windy Banks Pawnbrokery. This is what happened then last night? That's right. The two thugs I told you about were obviously ransacking the place looking for valuables. Apart from the policeman here, you wouldn't know anything's happened. There's no sign of a disturbance. No, you're right about that, actually. Yeah, they didn't... In fact, if anyone's, the police just seem to be the ones doing the ransacking. Yeah, I know what you mean. They're like a gang of organized criminals all dressed in black. Oh, yeah. That... Ah, Inspector Bob Belcher. Inspector, good morning. I suppose I'll thank you for your vigilance last night. We got to the scene before it was disturbed, at least. Shame you let the two rogues get away, mind. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I thought you'd assigned extra men to the beat around here, Gregsy. Now look what's happened. Hurley's been injured because there weren't enough police. Ah, your ladyship. No one told me you were coming. I expect you to take full responsibility for what happened to Hurley and see that he has the very best medical care. Of course, your ladyship, the very best doctors in the capital are tend him as we speak. And I don't think it's Runa's fault the rogues managed to get away, is it? Chasing criminals is the police's job. Absolutely, as you say, ma'am, as you say. I imagine there's a good reason why he's trying to be respectful to her. And I use that term very, very loosely. The gentleman in black is totally blameless. Everyone's in agreement about that. Would you believe it? He's like a completely different person. Talk about a personality change. Oh, where am I at? So are you thirsty, your ladyship? Perhaps you'd like some juice, or some nice, refreshing fruit juice? Oh, wow. Are you thirsty, Grexy? I have some of my special herbal tea with me. Like some? Oh, lovely. Very much. Not really the spot, your ladyship. I don't even recognize him like this. Oh, the lamp was broken. Alright then, see what we can uncover. Alright, what do you think you're doing there, Sunshine? You can't touch anything in here. Oh, but we were hoping to investigate a bit. There's a crime. There's a crime scene, for Pete's sake. No touching. What's the problem, Gregsy? Luna's a lawyer, you know that. Oh, I'm so sorry, your ladyship. I'm so sorry. The rules and regulations are a thorn in my side. Of course, if Miss Nado was to have been properly appointed by the accused, that'd be another matter. Not the accused. If you could show me some representation papers, I'll be too happy to let you nose around. You hear that, Runo? You need Ginny to sign some representation papers. Looks like presenting the detective here with the correct paperwork is the only way. Mr. Sholmes. Let's ask about Mr. Sholmes first. Can you tell us anything about Mr. Sholmes? What's his condition? So I'm not at liberty to divulge information. Scotland Yard matters are strictly confidential. Well, I know he's being operated on by St. Sinners. I can't see him, I'm family, you know? I'm terribly sorry, ladyship. It's a hospital policy, no visiting at all. Bolt must have hit an artery in his midriff. He's lost a fair bit of blood. Oh no. It didn't seem too bad in the first hour or so, but damn, I think that's enough to make even the one and only Sholmes pipe down. Mr. Sholmes is human like the rest of us, you know? Anyways, having emergency surgery right now. They gotta stop that bleeding. But he'll be alright, won't he? They'll be able to make him better? Of course, your ladyship, he has a right. He'll be right as rain before you know it. Really? How do you know? Yeah, how do I know? Well, because of course. Yes, because Mr. Sholmes is such a great detective, that's why. We better pray the doctors have a better grasp of what's needed to make someone well again. Oh dear, please don't die early. I'll report your ladyship the moment I hear he's out of the operating theater. Her ladyship. I couldn't help noticing, Inspector. What, out with the sunshine? Well, there seems to be a marked difference between the way you talk to me and Iris. Hey, watch this. Sauce, Sonny, I'm a copper and we don't go for favoritism. Hope he's right, do treat us a bit differently. It's because those adventures of Herlock Sholmes stories. That's why. Oh, I crop up in him, don't I? Inspector Tobias Gregson. Oh, yes, because you're an acquaintance of Hurley's. What'd you write about the Inspector, Iris? I don't remember really. There's one of Sholmes' lines, Gregson's as smart as the Scotland Yarders. That's how I put it. Oh, did I write that? And you know what that one line did for me? Very next month, my pay doubled! Double it! Okay, that would explain why so favorable towards her. I thought maybe it was respect for her father, since might know that he's not coming home and doesn't want to tell her, but nah. It's apparently his reputation allows pay to double. All because everyone in the yard reads them. They all read the Herlock Sholmes stories. They even set up a fan club for me. Of course, that explains everything. It was around that time he became such a toady to me. Now that's a term I haven't heard in ages. But yeah, this is in the correct context. Basically a minion. Well, can you blame me? All it'd take is one bad word from you and Sholmes could change his tune about me. Gregson? No, the great detective will say. He's getting quite overrated these days. And what would happen to my salary if it came to that? Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The whole thing gives me the willies. I can't tell you how many nights of sleep I've lost worrying about it. that would never happen, Gregsy. Every month when the new Rants magazine comes out, my hands are trembling as I turn the pages. Oh, how awful for you. Here, have some of my tea to settle your nerves. Pinky and everything. Ah, lovely. Thank you very much. It really hits a spot. Your ladyship. Teetotal. So how's the investigation going, Inspector? Doesn't do it really. Very simple case, this. There's some very definitive evidence. Just about to charge the diver we arrested last night, in fact. Gina, you're gonna charge her? That's right, I should be able to bring her before the judge and Bailey tomorrow. Definitive evidence, you say? What is it? Come on, show me. Your ladyship, as much as I wish I could oblige you, I'm afraid... I see. You've already captured the pair of thugs you broke in last night, have you? What the? And you're going to put them on the stand as witnesses, are you? How could you... How? How could you know that? Because you just told us. I had a feeling, that's all. Remind me never to try to keep a secret from Iris. So you've arrested the two men who shot Mr. Sholmes, have you? Well, yes, they were rounded up pretty quickly by the lads on the beat. And Miss Lestrade's being held to prison. She should be. That's assuming she hasn't lifted the key from the jailer, of course. Oh, yeah, there's something I was supposed to talk to you about, actually. Mr. Naruto. What is it? Got an important message for you. I clean forgot about now. Important message, eh? What is this important message? Are you gonna tell me what this important message is then, Miss Inspector? Yeah, it's about the young lady who's normally by your side, your assistant. Dear Susie, is she alright? She's at the station, isn't she? Being questioned, I believe? Nope, not anymore. She had to head off. Head off? Where? To Lord Strongheart's office, of course. He summoned her. Ah, yes, I'd forgotten about that. One of the Wistocks took her there in the yard carriage after we'd finished questioning her. But she asked us to tell you that she didn't have fare for the return journey to meet her there. She's got a nerve using Scotland Yard as a blue-in messaging service. I see. Well, thanks for passing that on, Inspector. Why did Susie have to go see the Lord Chief Justice? She didn't tell me, but I better head over to the Lord Chief Justice's officer to fetch her right away. April, British Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice's office. Yeah. No matter how many times I come here, I always get the same sense of oppressiveness somehow. Do you think the place is oppressive? I think it's normal. How so? I mean, look at that suit of armor over there. You can't take that seriously, can you? Maybe it thinks the same about you. So everything's clear with regard to tomorrow's arrangements, I trust? Yes, thank you very much. There they are, Susato and Lord Strongheart. I wonder what they're talking about. They both look very serious. Very good, there's nothing further to discuss. You may return to your lodgings. No doubt you have much to do in preparation for your return to your homeland. Wait, what did he just say? Return to your homeland. Susato! Oh, Mr. Naruhodo. What was that all about? She's not going to tell us anyway, because that's going to be too convenient for the plot, I guess. Mr. Naruhodo, thank you for coming to collect your colleague. What's this all about? What are you talking about Miss Susato's return to her homeland? And then, tomorrow. Tomorrow? What about Jeannie's trial? You mean... she's been formally charged now? Oh dear. Mrs. Otto, what's this all about? Oh, please don't concern yourself, Mr. Naruhodo. It's only me going back to Japan. Your life here can continue just as... That's not what I asked. What happened? Why are you leaving? It's my father. He's fallen ill. No. Professor Mikotaba. If I may. Yes, sorry. You must be the defendant. Ryanosuke Naruhodo, I believe. Yes, that's right. My name is Eugene Mikotaba. I'm a professor of forensic medicine at Yume University. We received an international telegram from the Empire of Japan informing us of the news. 10 days ago, father collapsed with a fever. The cause is apparently unknown. He seems to be growing weaker by the day. I don't believe it. As you are aware, the voyage mirror to your country's capital, Tokyo, takes some 50 days. I thought it'd be prudent to hasten Mr. Zara's departure as much as possible. Yes, absolutely. I'll leave London first thing tomorrow morning. I can't believe this is happening. Now, regarding Gina's trial. So Gina's officially been charged? She'll have to appear in court? Yeah, she was formally charged a few hours ago, and the date of the trial's already been set for tomorrow. No, not even 24 hours later? Gina. Ah, the Lestrade girl, and the murder of Baker Street pawnbroker, yes. All too conspicuous case. The pickpocket was clearly disturbed mid-robbery and shot the man in panic. No, the yard's overstretched as is without wasting time on open shut cases. It's not wasting time. Gina would never do something like that. Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, what's wrong, In deference of your fine service to date, I shall overlook this young girl's insolence. But I have no recollection of admitting a child to my office. Leave now. Of course, Lord Strongheart. Criminals who tell the most palpable lies in order to evade justice. Police can ill afford the time it takes to unravel all their untruths. Meanwhile, more crimes are perpetuated. We have far more serious matters with which to contend. Serious matters? Didn't Gregson mention something like that yesterday? Yes, Inspector Gregson made a similar remark. It's no concern of yours, though I'm sure I need not remind you of that. 3 minutes precisely until my next meeting. You must excuse me. There's just one more thing, Lord Strongheart, which is, Miss Lestrade's trial. I wonder if you might permit me to defend her. A timely suggestion. I'm sorry? The girl currently has no representation. Oh, but that's not fair. Yeah, she may be a pickpocket, but she still deserves a fair trial. Don't misunderstand me, young lady. The government provides for those too poor to afford representation with a public defender. The accused need only sign the relevant paperwork, and a defense barrister will be assigned to the case. However, the young girl in question has refused that right. Why would she do that? A question you'd do well to direct at Miss Lestrade. You'll find her at the local prison. Yes, thank you. Now then, it's time that I was leaving. Good day to you. Dang, that guy really has an imposing presence. And I'm all the way across the screen here. So Gina's charged with murder. Sasato's about to leave. So the world's been turned upside down in precisely one night. Come, Mr. Naruhodo. Iris, we must make haste. Oh, but Susie. But you're leaving for Japan tomorrow morning, aren't you? Don't you have packing and things to do? As Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, my personal circumstances are of no consequence. My sole purpose remains to help you wherever I can. Thank you, Mr. Zato. It's a very pensive look. If I'm honest, this has completely thrown me off. I'll just have to do what I can as a lawyer. Okay. When the game has a few open areas like this, I do like the events change a bit based on what order you do them in. Alright, hello, Gina. Wait, they let her have that thing in there? Oh, you still have my good the grenade launcher Hurley and I made. I wish you wouldn't point that at me all the time, though. What are you here for? Well, I have a feeling it's because of us that you end up in trouble, so we're thinking we might be able to help you. Well, you can. I'm sorry. You heard, get lost. Oh, don't be like that, Jeannie. I know you didn't do it. You'd never shoot someone. I know you wouldn't. You think you know me? Pull the other one. Oh, you ain't got the first idea about the likes of me. I'm a thief. I pinch people's purses when they're walking down the street. That's how I get by. Saw me chance. I sneak in a pawn shot any day of the week. Just to see what I could lay my eyes on. Get it? That's the kind of person I am. Oh, but Jeannie. I'll be in court tomorrow, they said. Some code came by for said he'd be a lawyer for me or the like. Said it was my right or something. I told him against him. I don't need a lawyer. I don't need no one. You couldn't be staring at me anymore, obviously, if you tried. Why are you being like this, Jeannie? Ouch. That's one stern look Susado's giving Gina. What happened first? Let's go with what happened first. Will you tell us what happened, Gina? Last night at the pawnbrokers. There's nothing to tell. I figured it'd pay me, so I broke the place and started going to the storeroom. The old bloke walked in on me, and you know the rest. But why, Jeannie? Why would you do that? Ain't it obvious the place is full of stuff I could sell for a shilling or two? Diving, you know it's a lot of work. Half the time you don't even get nothing. Is that really why you broke into the place? What? Are you sure the true reason wasn't something else? Oh, give it a rest. What'd be the point anyway? Nothing I could say would make a bit of difference. Please tell us, Ginny. We'll believe you, whatever it is. Believe me, don't be daft. You can't believe nothing. Everyone lies all the time. And you know what? Comes the liars, I'm the biggest of the lot, or the lie. I've told some unforgivable lies, I have. So that's why she was projecting when she kept she was actually projecting when she accused everyone else of being a liar like that. Well, all the same, a pickpocket is not a murderer, and there's no doubt she went in there specifically for the purposes of checking to see if Iris's manuscript was there or not. That said, we're gonna have to go through. Unfortunately, we are gonna have to go through a bit of fluff to get her to admit that. What do you mean by that? What unforgivable lies? Let's go with legal representation first. I don't understand, Gina. Why did you send the public defender away? He wanted my son's papers, represent papers, or something like that. It's all gonna be rigged anyway, the whole trial. Don't blame me because I'm a kid. That's what grown-up always do. Why do you think that? Because that's how it's always been for me, growing up in the back slums me whole life. If you do what grown-ups tell you, you'll get dragged off by the coppers, or worse. I've had it happen to me before and all, been sold out near a snaffled on the back of it. You can't trust no one, that's the point. As soon as you do, you're gone and dead. Well, usually people lie with a good reason. They don't lie just for the fun of it. So what we need to find out is what the reason is for the lies. Alright, Gina, listen. If you're liking tomorrow's trial, I could... Oh, forget it, Ginny. Don't you trust Runa? Nah, I don't. Look, I'll ask you nicely now. Just leave me alone. Unforgivable lies. Now, what do you mean before, Gina, when you said you were the biggest liar of the lot? Why don't you tell us what these unforgivable lies you've told are about? Maybe we can help. Sorry. We're out of time. They're gonna want to question me now. Ginny, please. Oh, yeah. I want to give you this. Something to remember me by. That's a white kitty. Yeah, a photographic print of a really adorable cat. I found it in one of the pockets of this coat. Ain't no point in me having it. I wonder what this little photograph was doing in a pocket of that overcoat. Anyway, don't bother coming again. Bye. know, Genie. Like, photograph. Well, after going through an orphanage and having the cops apparently turn them against each other, or before, I can understand why she has trouble with trusting people. Not to mention, she herself most likely had to lie in order to get out of some situations. I wonder if you might hear me out. Something I'd like to say. What? I'm sorry to say that I must reluctantly bid you farewell. Farewell? Tomorrow I must begin my journey back home to Japan. I fear we may never meet again. Oh, right. I've had the pleasure of meeting so many lovely people here in London. I have so many wonderful memories. And yet, as things stand now, it will be a glum parting indeed. Poor Iris is so miserable. Well, that ain't my business. Both Iris and Mr. Naruhodo believe you to be innocent, Gina. They put their faith in you. Somehow, you can't find it in your heart to put your faith in them. Yeah, that's right. I can't. What of it? It grieves me greatly to have to say goodbye to my friends when they're so clearly unhappy. Because of you. What? It's my fault. Yes, so I have one final request, Gina, before our paths never cross again. Right here and now, I want you to show both of them that you don't deserve the faith they've invested in you. Eh? Only by doing that will you truly be as alone as you claim to be. What are you talking about? What do you expect me to do, huh? You've told us that everyone lies. So prove it by admitting one of your own untruths. What about what you said before, Genie? You said something about unforgivable lies. You must tell Mr. Naruhodo and Iris the truth now. This is my last request before I leave. My last request as a judicial assistant. No, I can't. Whatever these lies are, they're obviously weighing very heavily on Gina's mind. Gina, I could be wrong, but is it something to do with what happened 2 months ago? Something about that trial? The one in which Magnus Mcgill was acquitted. The case of that mysterious murder that took place inside the omnibus. You were called as a witness by the prosecution. Is that what this is about? Yeah, you're right. Because in that trial, I lied. I lied like you wouldn't believe. Will you tell us about it now, please? The trial 2 months ago. Like you said, it all happened 2 months ago. The coppers got hold of me and shoved me in the witness stand. Based on her testimony, Mr. Mcgill was declared innocent. Oh, so he was guilty. Yeah, well, thing is, I lied about a whole bunch of stuff. I knew it. What sort of thing did you lie about exactly? I was hiding under the seat that night. That was the truth. It was pitch black in the little cubby hole. I couldn't see a thing. And then, thud. I heard that loud thud, like someone falling on the floor. And that's when Mr. Mcgill discovered you? Yeah. He pulled me onto the seat and sat me next to the dead man. There weren't much light to see by, but he looked at me hands. I'd covered the cove's blood all over him. I was so scared I couldn't even speak. You had his blood on your hands, in other words. It was Gina the witnesses on the roof deck saw in the skylight. Then Mr. Mcgill started asking questions, I suppose. You were while you were hiding under the seat? Yeah, I did, only, that's not all. What do you mean? I mean, he threatened me. How? He made me swear about what I'd seen, what I'd heard. About what he was going to do after the cove was found dead. He made me swear I wouldn't tell anyone about it. If I did that, he said he'd let me scar before the coppers showed up. Let me run. Oh, let her run. Gina, you must tell me he swore what he swore his secrecy about. What you saw, what you heard, everything. After all, he's gone now. It's not like he has anything over her. First, what you saw. You said McGill made you swear not to tell him what you saw. But you were in pitch black compartment under the seat the whole time, weren't you? Yes, with Mr. McGill sitting above your head. if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's true, but it was when I heard the thud of the cove hitting the floor, I let out a little scream, see? I couldn't help it. Mr. McGill heard that and dragged me up by the arm. That's when I saw it. I was on the floor next to the old geezer what had been stabbed. A disc, all bright and shiny. A disc? You mean... Yeah, that's it. The one what the deed took off me at Windbanks. So the music box disc was there on the floor of the omnibus. Not for long, Mr. McGill spotted it straight away. He picked up Smartish and stuffed it in his inside pocket. So the disc was in the omnibus 2 months ago, at the scene of Mr. Mason's murder. And the bog trotter told me I weren't to mutter a word of it to anyone. What you heard. Because it was so dark under the seat in that cab, I was straining my ears the whole time. After a while, I heard the door and footsteps inside the cabin. Presumably Mr. McGill getting on board. Nah, not only him. Oh, so they came in together. I could definitely make the footsteps of 2 people. In that case, it would seem likely there's Mr. McGill and the victim. Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason. In his testimony to the trial, Mr. McGill had claimed he slept during the carriage ride. But whenever I'm in a carriage, I'm taken with a fierce tiredness, no I'll succumb to it. And your own testimony, Gina, supported his. All I could hear was the Irishman snore. Yeah, that weren't exactly true. Neither of them were asleep. I could hear them talking the whole time, no voices. What? What were they talking about? Sorry, I don't know that. The sound of horses and wheels was too loud. But that still tells us something. Mr. McGill and the victim knew each other. So Mr. McGill was lying, as I suspected. After the event. I knew it weren't gonna take long for someone to raise the alarm that the bloke had been killed. Yes, you were quite right. The other passengers on the roof deck noticed very quickly. So when the cab came to a stop, Mr. McGill told me to hide back into the seat again. I climbed in and waited. 2 coves from top ran off to get the cops. Yeah, Mr. Flair playing Mr. First. Right, and after they'd gone, Mr. McGill had asked the driver to do him a favor. Favor? Now then, fella, what I need you to do is take this coat of mine and deposit it in the nearby pawnbroker. And for your troubles, let's see now. I'll give you 10 guineas. Whoa. Nearby pawnbroker, you mean on Baker Street? Yep, you got it. There's Windy Banks. The coachee snapped up the money and ran off to pocket the coat as fast as he could. There was no one left in the carriage. Mr. McGill opened the box under the seat. Let me get out of there, but not without conditions. I see. Conditions. What were Mr. conditions in? For letting you go free, I mean. Dear soul, not for anything. About what I saw, what I heard. Also, there was something else as well. More? Yeah, this is the most important thing. I'm after sending the coachman a little errand for me. There's some small change in his hand. Now then, did you hear what I asked of him? Did you see anything at all? You asked me to go pop your weasel, right? Aye. Feeling it's taken me over to deposit with a pawnbroker hereabouts, and I want you last to take the redemption ticket for it. Do you understand? Oh, you want me to have the ticket? That's right, and I'll come fetch it for you later. Sometime within the next 2 months. You're dang on to it until then, is that clear? And whatever you do, don't lose it. Alright then. And in case I might happen to be delayed at all, you're to go to the pawn shop, Windbank, so it is, and extend the loan for another 2 months after it's up. And if you forget, the article will be forfeited, and any you thing could come by and buy it. Yeah, but I ain't got that kind of brass. Here's £5. That should be enough. We understand each other, lass. Don't try anything funny now. If you go against me. Yeah, I get it. Good, and one more thing. A few days from now, you'll be visited by the police, I've no doubt. Cops, aye. Look, I'm asking you to take the stand in court, to testify as a witness. Let's have a wee chat about that, shall we? What is it you might say, and what is it you won't? possibly really did murder him then, but I guess we'll have to find out for sure, because even Gina Lestrade here has no idea if he truly did it, or if he's... After he'd gone over it all, I picked it. Got as far away from there as I could. Yeah, the pawnbroker's ticket in some bushes near the scene. I fetched it the next day once it got dark, so Mr. Mcgill had planned it, and coerced Gina into giving false testimony. Certainly looking more and more like he did do it then. I bet you're ready to string me up, huh? I lied in that big old courtroom. I took some corkers. The thing is, he said he'd make it so we couldn't live in the East End no more. That's what he threatened me with. What a wicked man. He knew everything. And what went back in the back slums. He knew we had no one to look after us, and we all looking out for each other, getting by together. So you mean Mr. McGill would have? In an heartbeat, he could have had us all chased out of there if he wanted. And where would he have gone? Nowhere, that's where. So I didn't have no choice. Thank you, Gina, for telling us everything. But, I made for it now. Go on, admit it, you must be livid. Well, you can make amends by doing me a simple favor. A favor what? Sign the representation papers for tomorrow's trial. Eh? If you don't actually want me to represent you in court, you can rip it up later. But we need that paperwork or we can't investigate. The police won't let us. Investigate what? The scene of the incident last night. Mr. Sholmes is shot, you see. Hurley's having a big operation right now, G. Is it bad? Is he gonna be alright? Sholmes gonna be alright, right? That's why I want to investigate, for Sholmes' sake as much as anything. Alright, so what you're saying is if I sign that bit of paper, everyone's happy, is that it? That's something like that. Mr. Zato? Oh, yes, of course. I have the representation papers right here. I don't need no one to stick up for me, though. No lawyer, nothing. Poor Jeannie, she seems so lonely. Representation papers. Well, at least this should mean we can investigate the scene at Windy Banks now. Yes, and perhaps we can come back to visit Ginny when we're done there. I feel like we've finally cracked Gina. She's opened up to us at last, and now I have her representation papers. No one else knows just what responsibility that is. Anyway, for now it means Inspector Gregson can't stop us investigating at Windy Banks. Although something tells me he's not going to be happy about it. Be continued. Hmm. 2 hours on the dot, eh? Well, things are certainly heating up now. Alright, for the moment I think now's a good time to call it so we can get all this done here and we can continue on next time. Then again, I guess the more... now there's going to be a lot going on next time and it'll be a lot easier for me to just recap it then. So I'm just going to go ahead and call the stream for now and we can get next time. Alright. Thank you for watching. Hope you had a good time. I've been, as I mentioned at the start, I've been uploading my older VODs from 2020 over on my YouTube channel. You can find that in my About page. Or if you want my newer VODs, I save them here on Twitch as long as they're allowed. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.